respectfully reports that having been duly sworn, it has attended to the duties of its trusts and finds the number of votes to have been for governor, total votes cast for governor, 284,801, necessary to have a major part of the votes, 142,401. The voting tallies were Peter Duval, an independent from Underhill, 4,723 votes. Kevin Hoyt, an independent from Bennington, 6,022 votes. Bernard Peters, an independent from Irisburg, 2,315 votes. Phil Scott, Republican from Berlin, 202,147 votes. Brenda Siegel, a Democrat progressive from Newfane, 68,248 votes, and 1,346 write-in votes. And agreeable to the constitutional provisions, it hereby declares Phil Scott, who received a major part of the votes, to be governor of the state of Vermont for the 2 years ensuing. For lieutenant governor, total votes cast for lieutenant governor were 278,723 votes, necessary to have a major part of the votes, 139,362. Joe Benning, Republican from Linden, received 118,724 votes. Ian G. Diamondstone, Green Mountain Party from Putney, received 8,159 votes. David Zuckerman, a progressive Democrat from Heinsberg, received 150,102 votes, and there were 1,738 write-in votes. And agreeable to the constitutional provisions, it hereby declares David Zuckerman, who received the major parts of the votes, to be lieutenant governor of the state of Vermont for the 2 years next ensuing. For state treasurer, total votes cast for state treasurer, 278,358, necessary to have the major part of the votes, 139,180. H. Brooke Page, a Republican from Washington, received 95,440 votes. Mike Pichek, a Democrat from Winooski, received 182,571 votes, and there were 347 write-in votes. And agreeable to the constitutional provisions, it hereby declares Mike Pichek, who received a major part of the votes, to be state treasurer of the state of Vermont for the next 2 years ensuing. For secretary of state, total votes cast for secretary of state, 275,379 votes. Plurality, not a major part of the votes, is required. Sarah Copeland Hansis, a Democrat from Bradford, received 179,087 votes. H. Brooke Page, a Republican from Washington, received 95,666 votes, and there were 626 write-in votes. And agreeable to the constitutional provisions, it hereby declares Sarah Copeland Hansis, who received the greatest part of the votes, to be the Secretary of the state of Vermont for the 2 years next ensuing. For auditor of accounts, total votes cast for auditor of accounts, 273,627 votes. A plurality, not a major part of the votes, is required. Doug Hoffer, a Democrat progressive from Burlington, received 178,714 votes. Richard Rick Morton, a Republican from Brattleboro, received 94,613 votes, and there were 300 write-in votes. And agreeable to the constitutional provisions, it hereby declares Doug Hoffer, who received the greatest part of the votes, to be auditor of accounts of the state of Vermont for the next 2 years ensuing. For Attorney General, total votes cast for Attorney General were 275,226 votes. A plurality, not a major part of the votes, is required. Charity Clark, a Democrat from Williston, received 179,098 votes. Michael Tagliavia, a Republican from Corinth, received 95,661 votes, and there were 467 write-in votes. And agreeable to the constitutional and statutory provisions, it hereby declares Charity Clark, who received the greatest part of the votes, to be Attorney General of the state of Vermont for the next 2 years ensuing. This report, containing the results of the vote for each statewide office, is respectfully submitted to the Senate and the House of Representatives at the State House in Montpelier, Vermont, on Thursday, January 5th, 2023, by the Joint Canvassing Committee. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will now recognize the member from St. Albans City, Representative McCarthy, co-chair of the committee, for the purpose of making a motion.
Madam President, I move that the report of the Joint Canvassing Committee be adopted by this joint assembly.
Now, the motion has been made that this joint assembly adopt the report of the Joint Canvassing Committee. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the report of the Canvassing Committee is adopted. There being no further business, I do wish you a productive and successful session, and I do hereby declare the Joint Assembly dissolved.